I stood on the deck of my yacht, feeling the salty breeze whip through my hair, but the chill I felt had nothing to do with the wind. It was the revelation I'd been dreading for months, the moment when reality finally tore apart the veil of denial I'd been living under. My heart raced as I caught sight of them approaching: Laura, my wife, her laughter ringing out like music, and my business partner, Eric, with his easy charm. They were standing far too close, their smiles too intimate. As they drew nearer, my chest tightened. I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was off. Lately, Laura had been distant, her late nights at work becoming more frequent, her phone always turned face down when I was around. I had been piecing together the puzzle, and now I was about to witness the last missing piece. I had arranged this gathering, a seemingly innocent get-together with friends, a chance to celebrate a recent business success. But deep down, I knew I was setting a trap. My fingers brushed against the collection of evidence hidden in my pocket: screenshots of texts, images that told a story I never wanted to believe, and recordings of late-night phone calls. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. The evening unfolded in a blur of laughter and clinking glasses. Friends chatted and reminisced, but I felt like a ghost in my own life. My gaze kept drifting back to Laura and Eric as they exchanged glances, their chemistry undeniable. Each shared laugh cut deeper than a knife, fueling the rage and sorrow I'd been stifling for far too long. Finally, it was time for my toast. I raised my glass, my voice steady, despite the tempest raging within. "Thank you all for being here tonight," I began, forcing a smile that felt foreign. It's moments like these that remind us how important trust and loyalty are. My eyes flicked to Laura, whose smile faltered ever so slightly, and then to Eric, who seemed oblivious to the storm brewing. With every word, the tension in the air thickened. I knew I had to act. However, I continued, my heart pounding: "There are some truths that need to be addressed." I took a deep breath, bracing myself for the moment of reckoning. "Laura, Eric, I think it's time we had an honest conversation about what's been happening behind closed doors." The room fell silent, the laughter snuffed out like a candle. Everyone turned to face us, the atmosphere electric with anticipation and confusion. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, displaying the evidence of their betrayal for all to see. "This," I said, my voice steady yet strained, "is just the beginning." Laura's face drained of color as realization washed over her, her eyes widening in horror. Eric shifted uncomfortably, glancing between us, a mix of guilt and surprise written all over his face. As I watched Laura crumble, tears streaming down her cheeks, a new wave of uncertainty crashed over me. I had wanted revenge, but now, witnessing her anguish, I began to question everything. What had I hoped to achieve? This wasn't a victory, it was a shattering of the life we had built together. In that moment, amidst the shock and disbelief, I knew I stood at a crossroads. I could continue down the path of destruction, or I could choose to confront the deeper issues that lay beneath our fractured marriage. "Laura," I said softly, my anger fading, replaced by something more profound. "Instead of tearing each other apart, maybe we need to think about what brought us here." The room was still, the weight of my words hanging heavy in the air. I knew I had to offer her a lifeline, an opportunity to heal, even if it meant confronting my own pain. As the tears streamed down her face, I realized that beneath the betrayal, there was still love worth fighting for. In the following moments, everything seemed to hang in the balance. The silence was palpable, heavy with unspoken words and fractured trust. I had laid bare the truth, and now it felt like the entire room was holding its breath, waiting for the next move. I watched as Laura's body trembled, her hands covering her face in shame, and Eric shifted uncomfortably, his bravado crumbling. Ron, Laura's voice cracked, but she couldn't finish her thought. Instead, she looked to Eric for support, her eyes pleading for understanding. But I knew there was no understanding in betrayal, only the rawness of hurt and the weight of a shattered trust. I had never envisioned this moment, the confrontation of my worst fears in front of our friends. I had prepared for an explosion, a dramatic scene filled with accusations and anger, but what unfolded before me was a different kind of agony. This was the woman I had vowed to love, and seeing her break down was like watching a piece of my soul unravel. As murmurs rippled through the crowd, I realized I needed to guide the conversation, to ensure we didn't spiral into chaos. "Laura, look at me," I said, my voice firm yet gentle. "I need you to be honest. Why did this happen?" The words hung in the air, heavy with expectation. She hesitated, her eyes darting around the room, but finally, she met my gaze. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. I was feeling so lost, Ron. You were so absorbed in work, and I felt invisible. When Eric was there, he made me feel seen, wanted. Each word struck me like a blow. I had known our marriage had been strained, but hearing her voice, the pain I'd ignored was like a cold shower, forcing me to confront the reality of my own negligence. I had been so focused on building my business, I had lost sight of the most important thing, our relationship. I get that, I replied, my anger beginning to dissolve into something deeper. But why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you talk to me about how you were feeling? Tears streamed down her cheeks, and she shook her head, overwhelmed. I was afraid that you wouldn't understand. I thought you were too busy for me. Her words pierced through my heart, revealing the cracks that had formed between us. The assumptions we had both made. As I looked at her, I felt the anger shift within me. I didn't want to be a monster seeking revenge. I wanted to be a partner, someone who could help heal the wounds we had both inflicted. We need to fix this, I said, my voice steady now. Not just for us, but for the love we once had. I'm willing to try, Laura. Are you? She nodded, her sobs softening into quiet whimpers. I don't want to lose you, Ron. I know I've messed up, but I want to make it right. That moment felt like a fragile truce, a tentative step toward healing. I turned to our friends, who had been silent witnesses to our pain. I'm sorry for dragging you into this, I said, my voice breaking slightly. But I can't pretend everything is okay when it's not. I felt a wave of support from those around us, their understanding comforting. I knew I couldn't navigate this alone. We needed help, someone to guide us through the mess we had created. We should consider therapy, I suggested, feeling both nervous and hopeful. I think it could help us understand each other better. Laura looked at me with a mixture of surprise and relief. You really think we can fix this? I want to believe we can, I replied, my heart racing with the possibility. But it's going to take work. We'll have to be open, vulnerable, and willing to confront our past mistakes. In that moment, I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. I'm ready to try, she said, her voice steadier now. I want us back, Ron. I want to fight for our marriage. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but I felt a sense of determination welling up within me. As I looked at Laura, I realized that beneath the pain lay a shared desire to reclaim what we had lost. Together, we could rebuild our relationship, brick by brick, transforming our heartbreak into a foundation for a stronger future. The evening ended with uncertainty, but it was no longer filled with despair. Instead, it held a glimmer of hope, a chance to mend our broken pieces and start anew. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions and realizations. After the confrontation on the yacht, Laura and I agreed to seek therapy together. I felt a mix of hope and apprehension. We were entering uncharted territory, facing the raw, vulnerable aspects of our relationship. The decision to pursue healing was a significant step, but I knew we had a long road ahead. Our first therapy session felt like a leap into the unknown. The therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Matthews, welcomed us into her office with a warm smile that put me slightly at ease. The room was cozy, filled with soft lighting and inviting furniture, but the air felt charged with tension. As we settled into our chairs, I glanced at Laura, her eyes reflecting both determination and fear. Dr. Matthews began by encouraging us to share our feelings openly. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past week pressing down on me. I've been feeling betrayed and lost, I confessed, my voice steady but laced with emotion. I thought we were building a life together, but it felt like Laura was slipping away from me. Laura nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I felt so alone, Ron. I never meant to hurt you. I just didn't know how to reach out when I was struggling. I thought I could handle it on my own. As the session progressed, we each took turns unpacking our feelings. The therapist guided us through our thoughts, encouraging us to dig deeper and explore the underlying issues. I discovered that my ambition had often come at the expense of our connection. I had been so focused on success that I had neglected the emotional needs of my wife. Why did you feel you couldn't come to me? I asked Laura during one session, my heart aching for her pain. I was scared you wouldn't understand, that you'd be too consumed by your work to care, she replied, her voice trembling. I felt like I was a burden to you. Her words hit me hard. I realized how misguided my priorities had been and how that neglect had pushed her into Eric's arms. I never wanted you to feel that way. I'm so sorry for making you feel alone, I said, feeling the sting of regret. Dr. Matthews encouraged us to communicate more openly, emphasizing the importance of vulnerability. It was uncomfortable at first, but each session brought us closer. We began to practice active listening, giving each other space to express our feelings without interruption. It was a transformative experience that allowed us to understand the depths of our struggles. As weeks turned into months, we began to forge a new connection. We started going on dates again, rediscovering the joy of each other's company. I could see the light returning to Laura's eyes, and it filled me with hope. We took long walks, explored new restaurants, and even revisited the places that had once held special meaning for us. One evening, while we were sitting on the balcony of our favorite cafe, I reached across the table and took her hand. I feel like we're getting somewhere, I said, my heart swelling with gratitude. You're opening up to me, and it's helping me understand you better. Laura smiled softly, squeezing my hand. I've realized how important it is to be honest about my feelings. I don't want to hide anymore. I want us to grow together, not apart. As we continued our journey through therapy, we also learned to set boundaries, what was acceptable and what was not. We discussed our needs and fears, and we made a commitment to check in with each other regularly. I vowed to prioritize our relationship, ensuring that I was present and engaged. Not just physically but emotionally. Through this process, we faced setbacks. There were moments of doubt, times when old wounds reopened, and insecurities resurfaced. But each challenge also became an opportunity for growth. Instead of retreating into anger or resentment, we learned to confront our issues head-on, working through the pain together. Gradually, the trust that had been shattered began to mend. I watched as Laura transformed from a woman riddled with guilt and fear into someone who embraced her worth and confidence. She started pursuing her own passions again, rekindling her love for painting, which had long been overshadowed by our problems. One evening, as I watched her paint in our living room, I felt an overwhelming sense of pride. She was rediscovering herself, and I was falling in love with her all over again. The intimacy we were building wasn't just physical, it was emotional and spiritual. By the time we reached the end of our therapy journey, I felt as though we had weathered a storm together. Emerging stronger on the other side. We had learned to communicate, to listen, and to love with a depth we hadn't known before. As we sat in our therapist's office for our final session, I looked at Laura, and I couldn't help but smile. We did it, I said, my voice thick with emotion. We've fought for our marriage, and I'm so grateful we didn't give up on each other. Laura smiled back, her eyes shining with tears of joy. I never want to go back to where we were, Ron. I want to keep moving forward. Hand in hand, Dr. Matthews beamed at us. You both have made incredible progress. Remember that the journey of healing doesn't end here. Continue to communicate, to nurture each other, and to prioritize your love. As we left the office, I felt a profound sense of hope. We had faced the darkness and emerged into the light, hand in hand. The road ahead would still have its challenges, but together, we were ready to embrace the future. One filled with trust, love, and a commitment to never let the past dictate our present. With the conclusion of our therapy sessions, Laura and I stepped into a new phase of our relationship, one grounded in understanding and commitment. The road to healing had been long and winding, but we emerged with a renewed sense of purpose. The weight of betrayal was still present, but we had learned to carry it together, transforming pain into a catalyst for growth. We decided to celebrate our progress by taking a trip to a cabin in the mountains, a place we had visited early in our relationship. It was there that we had shared laughter, dreams, and plans for the future, before life had taken us on a tumultuous path. As we drove along the winding roads, the beauty of the snow-capped peaks filled me with nostalgia and hope. Arriving at the cabin, I felt a wave of warmth wash over me. The air was crisp, and the scent of pine trees enveloped us. As we stepped inside, memories flooded back, the cozy fireplace, the laughter we had shared over hot cocoa, and the late-night talks under the stars. This was where we had first learned to dream together, and I hoped it could serve as a sanctuary for our renewed commitment. That evening, we lit a fire and settled on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, the flames flickering as they cast dancing shadows on the walls. I looked over at Laura, her face illuminated by the warm glow, and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the journey we had taken. This feels perfect, I said, my voice soft. She smiled, her eyes sparkling. It's so nice to be here with you. Just us. It reminds me of how far we've come. We spent the weekend reconnecting. We went for long hikes, took in the stunning views, and talked about our dreams for the future. One evening, as we watched the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, I felt a sense of peace settle within me. It was as if the universe was affirming our decision to rebuild our lives together. On our last night, as the stars twinkled above us, I brought out a small box I had kept hidden. My heart raced as I handed it to Laura. I want you to have this, I said, my voice steady but filled with emotion. She opened the box to reveal a delicate silver bracelet, engraved with the words trust, love, grow. Ron, it's beautiful, she said, her eyes welling with tears. But why? Because that's what I want for us, I replied. I want us to trust each other, to love fiercely, and to keep growing together. This is a reminder of our journey, and I want to cherish every moment with you moving forward. Laura slipped the bracelet onto her wrist, and I could see the significance of it sinking in. Thank you, she said, her voice trembling. I want that too. I want to build a life where we can always come back to this, no matter what challenges we face. In the days that followed our trip, life slowly began to settle into a new rhythm. We made a pact to prioritize our relationship above everything else. This meant regular date nights, weekend adventures, and most importantly, open and honest communication about our feelings. We began to explore new hobbies together, like cooking classes and hiking, creating shared experiences that strengthened our bond. We also made it a point to revisit the places that held meaning for us. We returned to the restaurant where we had our first date, the park where we had spent lazy afternoons, and even the art gallery where Laura had first shared her passion for painting. Each visit reignited old sparks and allowed us to appreciate how far we had come. One night, as we sat on our couch, reminiscing about our journey, I realized how much our relationship had transformed. The shadows of betrayal had faded into the background, replaced by a vibrant tapestry of trust and understanding. I feel like we've built something beautiful, I said, wrapping my arms around her. Laura nestled closer, her head resting on my shoulder. We have. It's like we're starting anew, but with all the lessons learned. I feel so lucky to have you in my life. Our conversations grew deeper, exploring not just our fears and insecurities but also our hopes and dreams for the future. We discussed the possibility of starting a family, and I felt my heart swell at the thought of building a life together that was rooted in love and trust. We were no longer just a couple fighting to survive, we were partners ready to embrace whatever came our way. As months turned into a year, we celebrated our progress by hosting a gathering for our closest friends, those who had supported us through the darkest days. It was a chance to share our journey, to express our gratitude, and to affirm our commitment to one another. During the gathering, I stood up to make a toast. I want to thank all of you for being here, I began, my heart full. Laura and I have been through a lot, and your support has meant the world to us. Tonight, we celebrate not just our love but also the strength of our friendships. We're excited to share this new chapter in our lives with all of you. As the night progressed, laughter and joy filled the air. I watched Laura mingle with our friends, her smile radiant and genuine. It struck me how far we had come, from a place of betrayal and hurt to one of renewed trust and deepening love. By the end of the evening, as I stood with Laura, surrounded by the people we cared about most, I knew that our love story had been transformed. We had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, more resilient than ever. Our new beginning wasn't just a fresh start, it was a celebration of our journey, the struggles we had overcome, and the love that now defined us. As I looked into Laura's eyes, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. We were ready to embrace whatever came next, together, with open hearts and unwavering commitment. As the seasons changed, so did our lives. Laura and I had settled into a rhythm that was both comforting and exhilarating. With each passing day, I felt more confident in our renewed relationship. The foundation we had built through therapy and open communication was strong, allowing us to navigate life's challenges with grace and understanding. Our commitment to one another extended beyond our personal lives. It influenced our professional endeavors as well. I found that having Laura by my side made me a better business partner and leader. She offered insights that challenged me and pushed me to think differently, while I supported her in reigniting her passion for art. Together, we became a formidable team. One evening, as we prepared dinner together, I watched Laura chop vegetables with a newfound passion. You should consider showcasing your artwork again, I suggested, the idea bubbling to the surface as I recalled her talent. I know how much it meant to you before everything fell apart. She paused, wiping her hands on a kitchen towel. You really think so? There was a hint of uncertainty in her voice, and I could see the flicker of doubt still lingering in her eyes. Absolutely. Your art deserves to be shared. You have a gift, and I believe in you, I said, stepping closer. Let's find a local gallery or an art fair where you can display your work. You've come so far, Laura. Don't let fear hold you back. Her expression softened as she considered my words. You know, I've been thinking about it too. Maybe it's time to step out of my comfort zone again. As I watched her light up with excitement, I felt a swell of pride. Encouraging her to embrace her passions was not just about her art, it was a way of reinforcing our bond. We were both learning to uplift each other, celebrating our individuality while nurturing our relationship. In the months that followed, Laura began working on a new series of paintings inspired by our journey. Each piece reflected her emotions, love, healing, growth, and resilience. I was amazed by the depth of her work. It was as if she was pouring her heart onto the canvas, creating something beautiful from our struggles. Finally, after weeks of preparation, the day of her first art show arrived. I could hardly contain my excitement as we entered the gallery. The walls were adorned with her vibrant paintings, each one telling a story of transformation. I watched as she interacted with guests, her confidence shining through. Look at you, Laura, I whispered, pride swelling in my chest. You're a natural. She beamed, her smile radiant as she shared the stories behind her paintings. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to how far we had come since the dark days of betrayal. As the night progressed, I took a moment to step back and observe. Friends and family gathered around Laura, admiring her work, and I realized that this was not just an exhibition of art but a celebration of our love and resilience. We had turned our pain into something beautiful, and it was inspiring to witness. The following months were filled with new adventures. We traveled to art shows, exploring different cities and sharing experiences that deepened our connection. Each trip served as a reminder of the life we were building together, a life rooted in love, trust, and mutual support. However, the true test of our commitment came unexpectedly. One afternoon, while I was at the office, I received a call from Laura. Ron, I need you to come home, her voice trembled, filled with urgency. My heart raced as I drove home, fear coursing through me. What had happened? When I arrived, Laura was waiting at the door, her face pale and tear-streaked. I just got off the phone with my mom. There's been an accident. It's about my dad. The news hit me like a freight train. Laura's father had been in a car accident, and he was in critical condition at the hospital. My heart ached for her, and I knew that in this moment, I had to be her rock. Let's go to the hospital, I said, wrapping my arms around her. I'm here for you, every step of the way. The days that followed were filled with uncertainty and anxiety. We spent countless hours at the hospital, praying for her father's recovery. I watched as Laura navigated a whirlwind of emotions, fear, hope, and helplessness. In those moments, I was reminded of the strength of our bond. We leaned on each other, providing comfort and support during the darkest days. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, her father began to stabilize. We breathed a sigh of relief as the doctors shared encouraging news. Throughout the ordeal, I held Laura's hand, reassuring her that we would get through this together. Our love, which had been tested before, had proven resilient once again. In the aftermath of her father's recovery, Laura expressed her gratitude for my unwavering support. I don't know how I would have gotten through this without you, Ron, she said, her eyes glistening with gratitude. You've shown me what it truly means to be there for someone, no matter the circumstances. That's what love is, I replied, my heart swelling with pride. We're a team, and we'll face whatever life throws at us together. As we returned home, I realized that we had emerged stronger than ever. Our love had been forged in the fires of adversity, and we were no longer just a couple trying to recover from betrayal. We were partners committed to facing life's challenges side by side, hand in hand. As the seasons turned once more, I found myself reflecting on our journey. From the pain of betrayal to the beauty of healing, we had navigated a labyrinth of emotions. The scars of our past had shaped us, but they no longer defined us. Instead, they served as reminders of our resilience and growth. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, I turned to Laura. I want to keep building this life with you. You're my partner, my confidant, and my love, I said, my voice steady. I can't imagine my future without you. She smiled, her eyes sparkling with tears of joy. I want that too, Ron. I've never felt so connected to someone before. I believe in us. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. We were ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, together. Our journey was far from over, but we were equipped to face the future, hand in hand, united in love and unwavering in our commitment to one another. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow around us, I knew that we were just beginning to write the next chapter of our beautiful story. As the days turned into months, Laura and I continued to build on the foundation we had laid during our journey of healing. We had become adept at navigating the complexities of our relationship, and our shared experiences deepened our love for one another. Yet, it was in the quieter moments that I began to realize the extent of our transformation. One Saturday morning, we decided to spend the day at a local farmer's market. The vibrant colors of fresh produce and flowers filled the air with life and possibility. I watched as Laura wandered from stall to stall, her laughter ringing out like music, drawing me in with her infectious enthusiasm. It was moments like these that reminded me just how lucky I was to have her by my side. As we strolled through the market, I spotted a booth displaying handmade pottery. One piece caught my eye, a beautiful, intricately designed vase. I could picture it in our living room, a symbol of the new life we were crafting together. "What do you think of this one?" I asked, picking it up and turning it in my hands. "It's lovely. We should get it," Laura said, her eyes sparkling. "It'll remind us of this day." After purchasing the vase, we decided to grab some coffee from a nearby cafe. As we sipped our drinks, I couldn't help but admire how far we had come. "You know, I've been thinking about how much I want to share our story with others," I said, my mind racing with possibilities. "What if we wrote a book about our journey? Something that could help others who are struggling in their relationships?" Laura's eyes lit up with excitement. "I love that idea. We could write about the challenges we faced, how we overcame them, and the lessons we learned along the way. It could be our way of giving back." We spent the next few weeks brainstorming and outlining our book. We wanted it to be raw and honest, capturing the highs and lows of our journey. We shared our thoughts and feelings in a way that felt liberating, allowing our vulnerabilities to shine through. Each word we wrote became a testament to our growth and resilience. As we delved deeper into our writing, we also took the time to nurture our individual passions. Laura began hosting painting workshops, sharing her love of art with others in the community. I watched in awe as she inspired others to express themselves creatively. She was blossoming into the woman I had always known she could be, and her joy became infectious. In parallel, I focused on my career, seeking to create a more balanced work-life dynamic. I started prioritizing my time, ensuring that I was present for Laura and for our relationship. I made a conscious effort to delegate tasks at work, allowing me to step back and enjoy the moments that truly mattered. With each passing day, our connection deepened. We began to embrace the idea of living life fully, exploring new activities and experiences together. We signed up for cooking classes, discovered hiking trails in the nearby mountains, and even started volunteering at a local animal shelter. Each new adventure was a reminder of our commitment to grow individually while continuing to nurture our bond. One evening, after a particularly fulfilling day of volunteering, we returned home to find our living room filled with soft candlelight. I had prepared a surprise dinner for us, hoping to create a romantic atmosphere to celebrate our achievements. As Laura walked in, her eyes widened in surprise. "Ron, this is beautiful," she exclaimed, her face lighting up with joy. We sat down to dinner, the aroma of our homemade pasta filling the air. As we enjoyed our meal, I took a moment to reflect on our journey. "I can't believe how far we've come," I said, looking into her eyes. "Every challenge we faced brought us closer together. I'm so grateful for this life we're building." Laura reached across the table, her hand finding mine. "Me too, Ron. I feel like we're not just surviving, we're truly living. I never thought I could be this happy again." As we finished dinner, I decided it was time to share my thoughts about our book. "I've been thinking about how our story could inspire others," I said. "We could include our struggles, yes, but also the joy we've found in rebuilding our lives. I believe it could help someone else who feels lost." Her eyes sparkled with excitement. "Absolutely. It's important to show that love can heal, even after the hardest of times. Let's share everything, the pain, the healing, and the beauty of new beginnings. Fueled by our passion, we dove deeper into our writing process. Late nights became our norm, as we shared stories over cups of coffee, recalling moments of heartbreak and resilience. We laughed, cried, and relived the most poignant memories that shaped us. As we crafted our narrative, we found ourselves not just writing a book but reliving our journey. It was cathartic and liberating, a way to process our experiences and reinforce our commitment to one another. Each chapter we completed felt like a celebration of our love, a reminder of how far we had come. Finally, after months of hard work, we finished our manuscript. We held the pages in our hands, tears of joy streaming down our faces. "We did it, Laura," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "We turned our pain into something beautiful. Now, we share it with the world," she replied, her smile radiant. "I can't wait to see how our story can touch others." With the manuscript completed, we began the process of finding a publisher. We reached out to agents and publishers, and after several weeks of waiting, we received the call we had been hoping for. Our book would be published. The day of the book launch was a whirlwind of excitement and nerves. Friends, family, and community members gathered at the local bookstore to support us. As we stood together on stage, I felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you all for being here," I said, my voice steady. "This book represents our journey, one filled with challenges, healing, and ultimately, love. We hope it inspires you to embrace your own journey, no matter how difficult it may seem." Laura stepped forward, her heart evident in her words. "Love can heal even the deepest wounds. We are living proof of that. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate this new chapter in our lives." The applause that followed was deafening, and I could see the pride in Laura's eyes. This was a celebration not just of our book but of our love, resilience, and commitment to one another. As the night unfolded, I looked around at the faces of our friends and family, those who had supported us through thick and thin. I realized that our journey was not just ours alone, it was woven into the fabric of the people we loved. Together, we had created a network of support and love that strengthened our bond. In the months that followed, we received letters and messages from readers sharing their own stories of struggle and hope. Knowing that our journey could help others was the greatest gift of all. We had turned our pain into purpose, and that purpose was now reaching far beyond our lives. As I reflected on our journey, I felt a profound sense of peace. The road had not always been easy, but every challenge had shaped us into who we were. A couple that had emerged from the darkness, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever the future held. Together, we had reimagined our lives, transforming wounds into wisdom and pain into possibility. Our love story was no longer defined by betrayal but by resilience, growth, and unwavering commitment. With each passing day, we continued to write our narrative, one filled with trust, love, and endless adventure. As the year drew to a close, Laura and I found ourselves reflecting on the incredible journey we had taken together. The book launch had not only brought us closer to our community but also sparked discussions about our relationship and its evolution. However, as the excitement faded, we began to feel the weight of our past experiences creeping back into our lives. One evening, after a long day, I returned home to find Laura sitting on the couch, her expression pensive. "Hey, what's on your mind?" I asked, sensing the tension in the air. She looked up, her eyes filled with uncertainty. "I've been thinking about everything we've been through, Ron. While I feel so grateful for where we are now, sometimes I can't shake off the fear that something might go wrong again." I took a seat beside her, processing her words. "I understand. It's natural to have those fears, especially after everything we've faced. But we're stronger now, aren't we? We've built this amazing foundation." "Yes, but what if something happens? What if I can't handle it?" she admitted, her voice trembling. Her vulnerability struck a chord within me. "Laura, we've faced some of the hardest challenges together. We can handle anything if we communicate and support each other. Remember, we're a team." She nodded slowly, but I could see the worry still etched on her face. I wanted to reassure her that the shadows of the past wouldn't define our future. "How about we talk more about these feelings? Maybe we could set up regular check-ins, just to see where we both are emotionally." Laura's expression brightened a little at the suggestion. "That sounds like a good idea. I think it would help me feel more secure." As the weeks passed, we implemented our new routine of emotional check-ins. Every Sunday evening, we would sit down with a cup of tea, discussing our feelings, fears, and any concerns that arose during the week. This practice allowed us to voice our emotions in a safe space, creating a stronger bond and helping us navigate the insecurities that still lingered. However, just as we were gaining momentum in our relationship, life threw us another curveball. One morning, I received a call from my boss, asking me to attend an emergency meeting regarding a major client that was threatening to withdraw their business. The implications for my career and our financial security weighed heavily on my mind. When I arrived home that evening, I found Laura preparing dinner. "How was your day?" she asked, her smile brightening the room. I hesitated for a moment, debating how much to share. It was challenging. I had a meeting about a client that's pulling out. If we can't find a solution, it could affect my job, I finally admitted. Her expression shifted to concern. "Oh no. Is there anything I can do to help?" I shook my head, feeling the pressure mount. "I don't know. I'll just have to work harder to keep this client. It's a lot of stress." Laura stepped closer, placing a hand on my arm. "Ron, remember what we've learned? Don't carry this weight alone. You can talk to me about it." Her words struck a chord, and I realized I was falling back into old habits, trying to bear the burdens on my own. "You're right. I just don't want to burden you with my stress." "You're not a burden," she insisted. "We're in this together, remember?" With her encouragement, I opened up about the pressures I was facing. As I spoke, I felt the tension in my shoulders ease. Laura listened intently, offering insights and asking questions that helped me process the situation more clearly. "Maybe we can brainstorm some ideas together," she suggested. "You know I'm always here for you." That night, we sat at the dining table, papers spread out in front of us as we brainstormed solutions. I was amazed at how Laura's perspective brought fresh ideas to the table. Together, we formulated a plan to approach the client with a new proposal that addressed their concerns while also showcasing the value we could provide. The following week, armed with our plan, I met with the client. As I presented our revised strategy, I felt a newfound confidence. I could hear Laura's voice in my head, reminding me that I wasn't alone in this. After what felt like an eternity, the client agreed to stay, and the weight lifted from my shoulders. When I returned home, I found Laura waiting eagerly. "How did it go?" she asked, her eyes shining with anticipation. "They're staying. We did it," I exclaimed, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I couldn't have done it without you." "I knew you could do it," she replied, her smile radiating warmth. "You're an amazing leader, and I'm so proud of you." As we celebrated, I realized that our journey had not only been about overcoming past pain but also about building a partnership rooted in mutual support and resilience. We were learning to face challenges head-on, together. But the stress of work-related challenges was only the beginning. As we entered the new year, we faced another hurdle when Laura's father experienced health complications that required surgery. The news sent shockwaves through our family, and I watched as Laura navigated the whirlwind of emotions, fear, uncertainty, and concern for her family. As her father prepared for surgery, I made it a priority to be there for Laura, providing emotional support. We spent hours at the hospital, holding hands and reassuring each other. "No matter what happens, we'll get through this," I promised her, reminding her of the strength we had found in one another. During the waiting hours, Laura opened up about her fears. "I'm scared, Ron. What if something goes wrong? I can't lose him," she admitted, her voice trembling. I wrapped my arms around her, grounding her in the moment. "We can't control everything, but we can control how we respond. Let's focus on being here for him and for each other." After a tense wait, we finally received the news that the surgery had gone well. Relief washed over us, but the experience had brought back memories of our previous struggles. It reminded us how fragile life could be and how vital it was to support each other through every challenge. In the days that followed, we made it a point to check in on Laura's parents regularly. We spent weekends cooking meals and helping out around the house, reinforcing our commitment to family. It was a time of healing, not just for Laura's father but also for our relationship. We were reminded of the importance of cherishing the moments we had together. Through this experience, we discovered a deeper layer of love and support. We learned that being there for one another during times of uncertainty and fear only strengthened our bond. Our commitment to facing life's challenges together became even more resolute. As spring approached, we decided to take a weekend trip to the mountains, a chance to escape the stresses of life and reconnect with one another. Hiking through the trails surrounded by the beauty of nature felt like a breath of fresh air. Each step we took was a reminder of our journey, of the mountains we had climbed together, both figuratively and literally. On one of our hikes, we reached a breathtaking viewpoint overlooking the valley below. As we stood together, taking in the beauty of the moment, I turned to Laura. "No matter what challenges we face, I'm grateful to have you by my side," I said, my voice filled with sincerity. She smiled, her eyes sparkling. "And I'm grateful for you, Ron. We've come so far, and I believe we can handle anything life throws our way." As we stood together, embracing the beauty of our surroundings, I knew that our journey was far from over. Challenges would always arise, but we were ready to face them together, hand in hand, with love, trust, and unwavering commitment. This was not just a love story, it was a testament to the power of partnership, resilience, and the beauty of embracing life's uncertainties together. As the summer sun began to warm our small town, Laura and I found ourselves in a new chapter of our lives, one defined by newfound strength, trust, and a deeper understanding of each other. Our shared experiences had molded us into a partnership rooted in resilience, and we were ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. One evening, as we sat on our porch, sipping iced tea and watching the sun dip below the horizon, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "I can't believe how far we've come, Laura," I said, turning to her. "We've faced so many challenges, and yet here we are, stronger than ever." Laura smiled, her eyes reflecting the fading light. "I know. It's incredible to think about all we've overcome. But I also feel like we're just getting started." Her words resonated with me. I had spent so long focused on the struggles, on the pain of betrayal and loss, that I had almost forgotten the joy of looking forward. "What do you mean by that?" I asked, curious about her vision for our future. "I think it's time for us to start dreaming again," she replied, her enthusiasm palpable. "We've spent so much time healing that we haven't thought about what we want next. Let's set some new goals for ourselves, individually and together." I nodded, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" "Let's think about our careers, our dreams, and even travel. We've always talked about visiting new places. Why not start planning a trip?" she suggested, her excitement infectious. The idea sparked a fire within me. "You're right. I've always wanted to see the mountains in Colorado, and I know you've dreamed of exploring Europe. What if we made a list of places we want to visit together?" We spent the next few hours brainstorming, jotting down our travel dreams and personal aspirations. Each idea we shared felt like a brick removed from the wall that had once divided us, a step toward building something new together. Over the next few weeks, we made plans not only for travel but also for our careers. I proposed taking on a leadership role in my company, something I had been hesitant to pursue. Laura encouraged me to go for it, reminding me that I had the skills and vision needed to excel. "You've worked so hard, Ron," she said one evening as we discussed my ambitions. "You deserve this opportunity. Just believe in yourself." With her unwavering support, I applied for the position, and to my delight, I was offered the role. The promotion not only elevated my career but also instilled a sense of confidence I had long sought. I realized how important it was to chase my dreams, knowing that I had Laura cheering me on every step of the way. As summer rolled on, we also focused on giving back to our community. Volunteering together at various local organizations. It felt rewarding to help others and allowed us to deepen our connection with the people around us. We hosted community events, fundraisers, and even art workshops led by Laura, each moment reinforcing our commitment to not just each other, but to our shared values. One afternoon, as we volunteered at a local shelter, I saw Laura in her element, interacting with families and engaging the children in art activities. Her passion shone through, and I felt immense pride in her. "You're incredible, you know that?" I said, pulling her aside for a moment. "Thank you, Ron. I love seeing people's faces light up when they create something," she replied, her cheeks flushed with happiness. "It's fulfilling to share what I love with others." I smiled, realizing how much joy her work brought her. It made me reflect on my own passions and how important it was to nurture them, just as we had done with our relationship. As the days turned into weeks, we also started planning our first big trip together, a journey to the Rocky Mountains. The excitement was palpable as we organized every detail, from hiking trails to the cozy cabin we would stay in. It felt like we were embarking on a new adventure, one that was just as much about exploring the world as it was about exploring each other. The day finally arrived, and as we loaded the car with our gear, I couldn't contain my excitement. This is going to be amazing, Laura. Just think of all the memories we're going to create. I can't wait. I've been looking forward to this for so long, she said, her eyes shining with anticipation. The drive to the mountains was filled with laughter, music, and deep conversations about our hopes and dreams. When we finally arrived, the breathtaking scenery took my breath away. Towering peaks surrounded us, their majesty a reminder of the beauty in life's challenges. As we settled into our cabin, I felt a sense of peace enveloping us. We spent our days hiking through lush forests, standing in awe at cascading waterfalls, and stargazing under a blanket of stars. Each moment felt like a celebration of our journey, a reminder of how far we had come and the joy of simply being together. On one of our hikes, we reached a summit with a panoramic view that seemed to stretch for miles. Standing there, I turned to Laura. Can you believe we're here? Together, after everything? She smiled, her expression a mix of joy and reflection. It's surreal. I never thought we could reach this point. It's a testament to our love and hard work. As we took in the beauty surrounding us, I realized that this was more than just a vacation. It was a symbol of our commitment to embrace life fully, to take risks, and to create lasting memories together. During our trip, I found the perfect moment to express something I had been thinking about for a while. One evening, as we sat on the porch of our cabin, the sun setting in a blaze of color, I took a deep breath. Laura, I want to talk to you about something important. She looked at me, curiosity evident in her eyes. What is it? I hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of my words. I've been thinking about the future, our future. I want to know how you feel about taking the next step in our relationship. Her expression softened, and I could see the wheels turning in her mind. You mean, marriage? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, I replied, my heart racing. I want to build a life with you, one that's filled with love, trust, and adventure. I know we've faced challenges, but I believe we're stronger than ever. I want us to commit to each other for the long haul. Laura's eyes shimmered with tears of joy. Oh, Ron, I've dreamed about this moment. Yes, I want that too. I want to build a life together. As we embraced, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief and happiness. Our journey had been long and fraught with difficulties, but it had led us to this beautiful moment, a new beginning filled with hope and promise. In the days that followed, we talked more about our vision for the future, discussing what marriage meant to us and how we wanted to shape our lives together. We began planning our engagement and discussing the values we wanted to carry into our marriage. The summer flew by as we enjoyed our newfound excitement, the warmth of our love illuminating every moment. We celebrated not just our engagement but also the life we were building together, one that embraced vulnerability, trust, and unyielding support. With each passing day, I became more convinced that our love was capable of weathering any storm. Together, we had transformed our past into a stepping stone for a future brimming with promise. As the seasons changed, so did our lives. Laura and I were not just planning a wedding, we were preparing to create a life filled with adventure, trust, and love. A life that would embrace both the challenges and the joys that lay ahead. Our story was evolving, and I knew that this was just the beginning of a beautiful journey together. As the crisp autumn air settled over our town, it felt like the perfect backdrop for the next chapter of our lives. Laura and I were knee-deep in wedding planning, each decision bringing us closer together as we envisioned our future. From selecting a venue to choosing the perfect colors for our wedding, every detail felt imbued with love and intention. One sunny Saturday, we decided to visit a local botanical garden to find inspiration for our ceremony. Surrounded by vibrant flowers and the fragrance of blooming trees, I could see Laura's eyes light up with ideas. This place is beautiful. Can you imagine saying our vows here? She exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. I can, I replied, taking in the picturesque setting. It's romantic and serene. I love it. As we strolled through the gardens, we talked about our dreams for the wedding day. I want it to be a celebration of our journey, our love, and everything we've overcome, Laura said, her voice filled with emotion. It's not just about the ceremony. It's about the commitment we're making to each other. Her words resonated deeply with me. Exactly. This day is just the beginning of a lifetime together, I agreed, squeezing her hand. After several visits to the garden, we secured the date for our wedding. It felt surreal to know that in just a few months, we would be exchanging vows in a place that held so much significance for us. With our venue set, we shifted our focus to other elements of the wedding: guest lists, flowers, and music. Every decision felt like a celebration of our love. However, as we planned, we also confronted the challenges that came with such a significant commitment. The deeper we dove into the wedding details, the more we realized how many emotions surfaced: joy, excitement, and occasionally, anxiety. There were moments when the stress felt overwhelming. One evening, after a long day of planning, I returned home to find Laura sitting on the couch, her head in her hands. "What's wrong?" I asked, immediately concerned. "I don't know if I can handle all of this, Ron. It's so much pressure, and I want everything to be perfect," she confessed, her voice cracking. I sat beside her, wrapping my arms around her. "Laura, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. We're in this together. Remember, it's about our love, not just the details." She nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "You're right. I just want everything to be perfect for us, but I'm starting to lose sight of what really matters." Let's take a step back," I suggested gently. "We can simplify things. Let's focus on what truly represents us. We don't need everything to be flawless, we just need to be us." That conversation marked a turning point in our planning. Instead of getting lost in the minutiae, we began to prioritize our vision for the wedding. We wanted a ceremony filled with genuine moments, reflecting our love story rather than the societal expectations of a perfect wedding. With a renewed sense of purpose, we reached out to our closest friends and family, inviting them to participate in the planning process. We organized a fun gathering where we discussed our ideas, encouraged input, and most importantly, focused on enjoying the experience together. Laughter filled the room as we played games and shared stories, reminding us of the joy that surrounded us. As the wedding date approached, we also turned our attention to what our marriage would mean in the long term. We attended premarital counseling sessions, a decision I initially approached with skepticism. However, as we delved into discussions about communication, conflict resolution, and our individual values, I found them invaluable. One evening during a session, our counselor asked, "What do you envision your life together looking like 5 years from now?" I glanced at Laura, who was deep in thought. "I see us building a home filled with love, laughter, and creativity," she finally replied, her voice steady. "I want us to continue growing together, pursuing our dreams, and supporting one another no matter what." I smiled, impressed by her vision. "And I want us to travel, explore new places, and experience life to its fullest. I want our home to be a place where we welcome friends and family, where love is always present." Our counselor nodded, encouraging us to express these dreams to each other regularly. "Having shared goals can strengthen your bond," she explained. In the months that followed, we dedicated ourselves to nurturing not just our wedding plans but also our relationship. We began weekly date nights, making time to enjoy each other's company without distractions. Whether it was cooking dinner together, going for long walks, or simply watching our favorite movies, these moments became sacred. One chilly evening, as we sat by the fireplace, I looked at Laura, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "I love this time with you. It reminds me of how important it is to prioritize our relationship, especially as we step into this new phase," I said, pulling her close. "I feel the same way," she replied softly. "I want our marriage to be built on love, trust, and joy, and I believe these moments are what will keep us grounded." As the wedding day drew nearer, we found ourselves in a whirlwind of excitement. The day before the wedding, we decided to host a small gathering with our closest friends and family at the botanical garden. It was a chance to celebrate our love and connect with the people who had supported us through our journey. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, love, and warmth as we shared stories and enjoyed each other's company. At one point, I looked around and felt overwhelmed by the love surrounding us. I raised my glass to toast to love, resilience, and the journey we've taken together. "Here's to new beginnings." As our friends cheered, I caught Laura's eye, and we shared a smile that said it all. We had come so far, and the love we had built was more profound than I could have ever imagined. The next day, as I stood at the altar, dressed in my suit, anticipation coursed through me. I looked out at our gathered friends and family, but my focus was solely on Laura as she walked down the aisle, radiant and beautiful. In that moment, all the challenges we had faced faded into the background. This was about our commitment to each other, our journey, and the love that had flourished between us. When our eyes met, I saw a reflection of the joy and excitement we both felt. As the ceremony unfolded, I felt a profound sense of peace enveloping me. We exchanged vows, our promises echoing the sentiments we had discussed during our counseling sessions: commitment, support, and unconditional love. I promise to stand by you in all circumstances, I declared, my voice steady. Through the good and the bad, I choose you, today and every day. As Laura spoke her vows, her voice trembled with emotion. I promise to be your partner, your confidant, and your biggest supporter. I choose you, Ron, to share this life with. When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, the air was electric with joy. I felt a rush of exhilaration as we kissed, sealing our commitment in front of our loved ones. As we celebrated with friends and family, dancing under the stars, I couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey that had brought us to this moment. We had faced pain, uncertainty, and challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more connected than ever. As I held Laura in my arms, twirling her around the dance floor, I knew that this was just the beginning. Our life together would be filled with adventures, growth, and love, a beautiful tapestry woven from our shared experiences. And so, as we danced the night away, I embraced the promise of our future, a journey filled with love, resilience, and endless possibilities. Together, we were ready to face whatever life had in store for us, hand in hand, heart to heart. As the dust settled from our whirlwind wedding, Laura and I stepped into our new life as husband and wife with a sense of exhilaration and determination. The echoes of laughter and joy from our celebration lingered in our hearts as we returned from our honeymoon, eager to embrace the everyday moments that would shape our marriage. We settled into our home, which we had decorated together during our engagement. Each room was a reflection of our personalities, filled with memories and little pieces that told our story. The living room boasted framed photographs from our travels and adventures, while the kitchen was filled with the aroma of meals cooked together. Our laughter mingling with the sizzle of ingredients on the stove. One evening, as we prepared dinner together, I watched Laura chop vegetables with a focused determination. You know, I said, leaning against the counter, I love how we can just be ourselves in our own home. It feels so right. She paused, glancing up with a warm smile. I feel the same way. It's comforting to create this space together. It's ours. After dinner, we curled up on the couch with mugs of hot chocolate. As we talked about our days, I realized how essential these simple moments were. We should make it a point to keep having these evenings together, I suggested. Let's set aside time every week to just relax and connect. Laura nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely. It's important to nurture our relationship amid all the chaos of life. In the weeks that followed, we established a routine that allowed us to balance our personal ambitions with our shared goals as a couple. I embraced my new role at work, focusing on leading my team with confidence. While Laura poured herself into her art and teaching, we supported each other's passions, attending art shows and networking events, celebrating each other's achievements and milestones. But with the excitement of married life also came challenges. Balancing our busy schedules sometimes led to tension, and we occasionally found ourselves snapping at each other over trivial matters. One evening after a long day, we had an argument about a misplaced item that escalated unexpectedly. Frustrated, I stormed out, needing air to clear my head. After a short walk around the block, I returned home, my heart heavy with regret. Laura was sitting on the couch, her expression a mixture of hurt and frustration. I hate when we fight like this, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. I do too, I admitted, sitting beside her. I'm sorry for raising my voice. It's been a stressful week, but that's no excuse. We took a moment to breathe, letting the tension dissipate. I think we need to find better ways to communicate when we're feeling overwhelmed. Laura suggested, maybe we can set aside time each week to check in with each other, just to talk about how we're feeling. That's a great idea, I replied, grateful for her willingness to address our issues constructively. I think we both need that space to express ourselves. From that moment on, we committed to weekly check-ins, dedicated time to discuss our feelings, frustrations, and triumphs. These sessions became a lifeline for us, fostering open communication and preventing misunderstandings from escalating into unnecessary arguments. I found it reassuring to have a set time to address what was on my mind, and I could see the relief in Laura's eyes as well. With each passing week, our connection deepened. We started exploring new activities together, finding joy in the little things. We joined a local hiking group, spending our weekends exploring the scenic trails and immersing ourselves in nature. I discovered a newfound appreciation for the outdoors, and seeing Laura so alive and joyful was contagious. During one memorable hike, we reached a stunning vista overlooking the valley below. The sun set behind the mountains, casting a golden hue over everything. "This is beautiful," I said, taking a deep breath of the fresh mountain air. "I'm so glad we started doing this together." Laura beamed, her eyes sparkling. "It feels so refreshing to escape the daily grind and reconnect with nature, and with each other." As we ventured into the fall season, we also began hosting gatherings with our friends, inviting them into our home. The warmth of shared meals, laughter, and stories made our house feel even more like a home. It became a space of love and camaraderie, where everyone felt welcomed and cherished. One chilly evening, we hosted a potluck dinner with our closest friends. The house filled with the sounds of clinking dishes and joyous laughter as everyone shared their favorite recipes. I watched Laura move around the room, engaging with our friends, and I felt immense pride in how far we had come together. As we sat around the table, the conversation flowed freely, and I took a moment to reflect on our journey. "I want to thank all of you for being part of our lives," I said, raising my glass. "You've been our support system through thick and thin, and we're so grateful for each of you." As everyone raised their glasses in agreement, I felt a warmth spread through me. It wasn't just about the meal or the gathering, it was about the love and connection we had cultivated together. The more time we spent together, the more we began to envision our future, discussing dreams of starting a family and building a life filled with adventure and love. One night, as we lay in bed, I turned to Laura, feeling a mix of excitement and vulnerability. "I've been thinking about our future, about starting a family." Laura looked at me, her expression thoughtful. "I have too. It's something I've always dreamed of, but I also want to make sure we're ready." I nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "I believe we're building a strong foundation for whatever comes next. Let's take our time and talk about what we want in a family." With that, we began to have deeper conversations about parenthood, what values we wanted to instill, how we envisioned our roles as parents, and what kind of environment we wanted to create for our children. Each discussion brought us closer, allowing us to share our hopes and fears openly. In those moments of vulnerability, I realized how fortunate we were to have each other, a partner who understood my dreams and supported my ambitions. It reinforced my belief that our love would guide us through any challenges we might face in the future. As winter approached, I decided to surprise Laura with a little getaway to a cozy cabin in the woods. I wanted us to spend quality time together, away from the hustle and bustle of daily life. I booked a weekend filled with snowshoeing, hot cocoa, and evenings by the fire. On the drive to the cabin, I could feel the excitement building between us. The snow-covered landscape transformed into a winter wonderland, and I couldn't wait to experience the magic of the season together. When we arrived, Laura's eyes widened in delight at the sight of the rustic cabin nestled among the trees. "This is incredible, Ron. You really outdid yourself. I wanted us to have a special weekend, just the two of us," I said, opening the door to reveal a cozy interior with a crackling fire and twinkling lights. I thought we could unwind and enjoy each other's company. As the weekend unfolded, we hiked through the snow, laughed over board games, and spent hours talking by the fire. One evening, as we sat together wrapped in blankets, I took her hand in mine. "I can't express how grateful I am for you, Laura. You make every moment of my life feel special." She looked at me, her expression softening. "I feel the same way, Ron. You bring so much joy and love into my life." As I gazed into her eyes, I realized that this moment was a reflection of the journey we had taken together, the challenges we had overcome, the love we had nurtured, and the dreams we were beginning to build side by side. By the time we returned home, the holidays were just around the corner, and we began to plan for our first Christmas together as a married couple. It was a time of joy, love, and reflection, a moment to celebrate not just the season but the life we were creating together. As we decorated our home with twinkling lights and ornaments, I felt a sense of warmth enveloping us. "This feels so right," I said, admiring our handiwork. Laura nodded, her eyes sparkling. "It does. I love creating traditions with you. This is just the beginning." As Christmas approached, we reflected on the journey that had brought us to this point. A journey filled with ups and downs, laughter and tears, love and resilience. I realized that we were not just building a life together, we were creating a legacy of love, trust, and hope for the future. As we celebrated the holidays, surrounded by family and friends, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, hand in hand. In the quiet moments, as we sat by the tree with our mugs of hot cocoa, I couldn't help but think about the incredible adventure that awaited us. Our life together was just beginning, and I was excited to see where our journey would lead us. With Laura by my side, I knew we could conquer anything that came our way, building a life rich in love, laughter, and shared dreams. The new year arrived with a sense of hope and possibility. The world outside our window blanketed in fresh snow. Laura and I celebrated the transition with friends, laughing and sharing our resolutions for the upcoming year. As midnight struck, we embraced, sealing our hopes for the future with a kiss. "This is going to be our best year yet," Laura said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Little did we know how quickly life could change. As January progressed, I noticed that Laura seemed more tired than usual. At first, I chalked it up to the post-holiday blues and the stress of returning to work after our festive break. But when she started sleeping longer hours and mentioning strange cravings, I felt a flicker of concern. "Are you feeling okay?" I asked one evening, watching her struggle to keep her eyes open while we watched a movie. "I think it's just winter," she replied with a half-hearted smile. "I'm probably just run down." But my instinct told me something else was brewing beneath the surface. After a few more weeks of her unusual behavior, I gently suggested, "Maybe you should see a doctor, just to be safe." Laura hesitated, then nodded. "You're probably right. I'll make an appointment." A few days later, she returned from her doctor's visit with an expression that shifted from anxious to joyful in an instant. "Ron, you're not going to believe this," she exclaimed, practically glowing. "What is it?" I asked, my heart racing with curiosity. "I'm pregnant," she declared, a wide smile breaking across her face. I felt the world tilt on its axis. "Pregnant?" I repeated, stunned. A mix of emotions washed over me: joy, shock, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. "Are you sure?" "Yes," she laughed, tears of happiness in her eyes. "The doctor confirmed it. We're going to be parents." In that moment, everything changed. All my previous thoughts about our future were eclipsed by the reality of this new life. "Wow, Laura, this is incredible." I wrapped her in my arms, feeling the warmth of her excitement and my own growing apprehension. "We're going to be parents." As the reality sank in, we spent the following weeks navigating a whirlwind of emotions. The initial joy of the news was soon accompanied by a mix of fear and uncertainty. We both had visions of what parenting would look like, but the reality was daunting. We dove into researching parenting classes, prenatal care, and what to expect during pregnancy. Laura attended her appointments, each time returning with updates about our growing baby, the excitement bubbling inside her. I loved seeing her light up at each milestone, yet I couldn't shake the feeling of pressure that accompanied the news. One evening, as we sat on the couch surrounded by parenting books, I turned to Laura. "How are you feeling about all of this? I mean, becoming parents is a huge change." Laura took a deep breath, her expression contemplative. "Honestly, I'm excited but also scared. I want to be a good mom, but I worry about whether I'll be ready." I nodded, understanding her fears. "I feel the same way. But we're in this together, and we can learn as we go. We'll be a team." As the months progressed, I watched Laura's body change, marveling at her strength and resilience. She embraced her pregnancy with grace, often sharing her experiences with me. "I can't believe how much my body is changing," she said one evening, running her hands over her growing belly. "It's beautiful and scary all at once." We attended prenatal classes together, where we learned about childbirth, newborn care, and parenting techniques. The experience was eye-opening, and I found myself growing more and more in awe of Laura's dedication and commitment to being the best mother she could be. As the due date approached, we began preparing our home for the arrival of our baby. We painted the nursery a soft shade of yellow and filled it with cozy blankets, toys, and books. The excitement was palpable, but so were the worries about what lay ahead. One night, as I lay in bed, my thoughts raced. "Laura, are we really ready for this? What if we're not good parents?" I confessed, turning to her in the dim light. She took a moment to reply, her expression serious yet reassuring. "I think it's normal to feel scared. Ron, we won't have all the answers, but we can lean on each other and our friends and family for support. We'll figure it out together." Her words calmed my racing heart. "You're right, we'll take it one day at a time." As the day drew nearer, Laura and I found ourselves in a whirlwind of preparations. We attended baby showers, where friends showered us with gifts and advice. Each moment felt surreal, yet beautiful. The day finally arrived, and I remember the rush of emotions I felt as Laura went into labor. We arrived at the hospital, where the intensity of the moment enveloped us. I held her hand through every contraction, offering words of encouragement. "You're doing amazing, Laura. Just breathe. We're almost there." After what felt like an eternity, our son was born, and the world around us faded away. I was filled with overwhelming joy as I held him for the first time. "He's perfect," I whispered, gazing at our tiny miracle. As we settled into our new life as parents, we faced the inevitable challenges that came with caring for a newborn. Sleepless nights, diaper changes, and endless feedings became our new reality, but so did the joy of watching our son grow. Each milestone, from his first smile to his first steps, filled us with pride and love. However, along with the joy, the stress of parenting sometimes caused tension between us. There were nights when we were both exhausted, and our patience wore thin. I remember one particularly challenging evening when our son wouldn't stop crying, and Laura and I exchanged frustrated glances. "I can't do this anymore," I snapped, my exhaustion getting the better of me. Laura's face fell. "I'm trying my best too, Ron. We need to support each other, not argue." In that moment, I realized the truth in her words. Parenting was a team effort, and we needed to communicate better. "I'm sorry," I said, taking a deep breath. "I didn't mean to lash out. It's just overwhelming." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I feel it too. But we're in this together. Let's take a break, and then we can figure it out." We agreed to support each other through the tough moments, prioritizing open communication. From that point on, we set aside time each evening to check in with each other, sharing our feelings and frustrations without judgment. As the months passed, we learned to navigate the challenges of parenthood together. We embraced the chaos, finding moments of joy amid the sleepless nights and overwhelming responsibilities. One evening, as we sat together on the couch after putting our son to bed, I turned to Laura, feeling a sense of gratitude wash over me. "I couldn't have imagined going through this journey with anyone else but you," I said, reaching for her hand. "You're an incredible mother." Her smile lit up the room. "And you're an amazing father. We're doing this together, and that makes all the difference." In those quiet moments, I realized that our love had only grown stronger through the trials we faced. We had built a life together, one filled with love, laughter, and the unexpected joys of parenthood. As we continued this journey, I knew there would be more challenges ahead, but I also knew that with Laura by my side, we could face anything together. Our family was growing, and so was our love. We were committed to creating a life rich in love and connection, ready to embrace whatever the future held. As spring unfolded, bringing warmth and renewal, I found myself reflecting on the incredible journey Laura and I had taken together. Our son had just celebrated his first birthday, and with each passing day, he became more of a vibrant presence in our lives. Watching him grow and explore the world filled me with a sense of purpose I had never felt before. One sunny afternoon, I set up a small picnic in our backyard, wanting to create a special moment for our little family. I spread out a blanket under the shade of our oak tree and filled a basket with Laura's favorite snacks, fresh fruit, sandwiches, and homemade cookies. As I arranged everything, I could hear our son giggling as he played with his toys nearby. When Laura came outside, her eyes lit up at the sight. "Wow, this looks amazing," she exclaimed, her smile infectious. "I wanted to celebrate our little man's first year with a picnic," I replied, gesturing for her to sit down. As we settled onto the blanket, our son crawled over to join us, his cheeks flushed with excitement. We shared bites of food while he played, and I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with gratitude. "Can you believe it's already been a year?" I asked Laura, watching as she lovingly fed our son a piece of fruit. "It feels like just yesterday we were bringing him home from the hospital," she replied, her voice filled with emotion. "And now look at him. He's growing so fast." We spent the afternoon reminiscing about the past year, the sleepless nights, the laughter, the challenges we faced, and the beautiful moments we created. It was a time of joy, and I felt a renewed sense of commitment to our family. As summer approached, we started discussing our plans for the future. The idea of expanding our family was never far from our minds. And one evening as we relaxed after putting our son to bed, I broached the subject. "Laura, have you thought any more about having another child?" She looked at me thoughtfully. "I have, Part of me is excited, but I also worry about how we'll manage. Our lives are already so busy with one child. I know, I said, taking her hand. But I believe we can handle it. We've grown so much as a team, and I think we can take on another adventure together. Laura smiled, a hint of excitement in her eyes. I agree. We've learned so much in the past year. We can approach this with the same love and commitment we brought to our first year of parenting. As we discussed our feelings and concerns, I realized how far we had come since those early days of uncertainty. We had navigated the challenges of parenthood together, and we had grown stronger as a couple. As summer arrived, we found ourselves swept up in a whirlwind of activities: family trips to the beach, barbecues with friends, and lazy afternoons spent in the backyard. We embraced every moment, savoring the laughter and joy our son brought to our lives. One weekend, we decided to take a family trip to a nearby lake, eager to enjoy some time outdoors. The day was filled with sunshine, laughter, and splashes as we played by the water. Our son giggled as he splashed in the shallows, and I felt a sense of bliss as I watched Laura play with him, her laughter ringing in the air. That evening, as the sun set over the lake, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I turned to Laura. This is what life is all about, these moments we share as a family. She nodded, her eyes shimmering with happiness. It truly is. I wouldn't trade this for anything. As the summer turned into fall, we found ourselves attending community events and connecting with other families. We began to build a support network, sharing parenting tips and experiences with those around us. The friendships we formed brought a sense of belonging that enriched our lives. With each passing month, Laura and I continued to explore the idea of expanding our family. We talked openly about our hopes and fears, allowing our relationship to deepen further. We both felt that if we were going to take this leap, we needed to be prepared emotionally and practically. By the time winter rolled around, I could sense a shift in our dynamic. The holidays were approaching, and we felt the warmth of family traditions enveloping us. We decorated the house together, hanging ornaments that marked our son's first Christmas and creating new memories as a family. One night, as we snuggled on the couch by the fire, I turned to Laura. "Do you think we're ready for another baby?" Laura paused, contemplating my question. "I think we are. We've learned so much and grown stronger together. I believe we can make this work." With a shared sense of excitement and nervousness, we began preparing for the possibility of a second child. We discussed practical matters, from finances to logistics, but more importantly, we spoke about our desire to nurture and love another little one. As the new year approached, Laura took a test that would confirm our hopes. I remember holding my breath, waiting for her to come out of the bathroom. When she emerged, a radiant smile lit up her face. "We're going to have another baby." Joy surged through me. We embraced tightly, overwhelmed with happiness and anticipation for the journey ahead. In the months that followed, I witnessed Laura's strength and grace as she navigated her second pregnancy. Our son sensed the change in the house, and I could see his curiosity growing each day as he touched Laura's belly and babbled excitedly about becoming a big brother. Through the ups and downs of pregnancy, we continued to prioritize open communication and teamwork. I made it a point to be more involved in preparing for the baby's arrival. From decorating the nursery to attending doctor's appointments with Laura. As we neared the due date, the air was thick with anticipation. We both felt ready to embrace this new chapter, excited to welcome another child into our lives. When the day finally came, I experienced the same rush of emotions I had during our first child's birth: joy, nervousness, and love. Watching Laura bring our new baby into the world was nothing short of magical. The moment I held our newborn in my arms, I felt a surge of love unlike anything I had ever experienced. "Welcome to the world," I whispered, looking down at our little miracle. In the days and weeks that followed, we adjusted to life as a family of 4. It was chaotic, filled with sleepless nights and the demands of 2 small children, but it was also the most beautiful chaos I could imagine. Each giggle, each milestone, and each shared moment reinforced the bond we had built. As the seasons changed, our family continued to grow and evolve. We celebrated the little moments: family game nights, cozy evenings by the fire, and adventures in the park. Each day brought new challenges and joys, and I found myself falling deeper in love with Laura as we navigated parenthood together. Reflecting on our journey, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. We had faced trials that tested our relationship, but we emerged stronger, more connected, and ready to embrace whatever life threw our way. Looking to the future, I knew that with Laura by my side, we could conquer anything. Together, we would build a legacy of love, trust, and resilience for our children. As we sat together one quiet evening, watching our little ones play, I turned to Laura and said, "No matter what happens, I know we're meant to do this together." She smiled, her eyes shining with warmth. "Absolutely. This is just the beginning of our beautiful adventure." With that, I felt a renewed sense of hope and excitement for the future. Life would be unpredictable, but as long as we faced it together, I knew we could overcome anything. Our love was the foundation upon which we would build our family's story, and I couldn't wait to see where that journey would take us next. As the months turned into years, our lives as a family of four settled into a beautiful rhythm. Our home was filled with laughter and the sounds of children playing, each day bringing new adventures and discoveries. Watching our two kids grow side by side was a joy beyond anything I had imagined. The bond between our son and daughter blossomed in unexpected ways. They were two peas in a pod, often working together on little projects. Whether it was building a fort out of couch cushions or painting masterpieces that adorned our fridge, their laughter echoed through the halls, a melody that warmed my heart and reminded me of the importance of family. However, as we navigated the joys of parenting, we also encountered challenges. The demands of raising two small children often felt overwhelming. There were days when exhaustion weighed heavily on us, leaving us yearning for a moment of peace amidst the chaos. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, I plopped down on the couch, fatigue settling deep in my bones. Laura joined me, her hair slightly disheveled, her eyes reflecting the weariness we both felt. "I love our kids, but some days are just so hard," she admitted, leaning back against me. "I know what you mean," I replied, wrapping my arm around her. "But we're doing this together, and that makes all the difference." In those moments, we made it a priority to check in with each other, to share our feelings and frustrations without judgment. It became clear that open communication was the key to maintaining our connection, even when life got hectic. One night, as we lay in bed after putting the kids to sleep, I turned to Laura. "You know, we should plan a getaway for just the two of us. We need some time to recharge and reconnect." Her eyes brightened at the suggestion. "That sounds wonderful. When can we do it?" We spent the next few days coordinating logistics, arranging for the kids to stay with grandparents while we planned a weekend escape to a cozy cabin in the woods. The excitement of having time alone felt like a gift, and I could already feel the tension of our daily lives melting away. When the weekend finally arrived, we loaded our bags into the car, anticipation buzzing in the air. The drive to the cabin was filled with laughter and reminiscing about our early days together, the challenges we had faced, the love that had grown between us, and the family we had built. As we settled into the cabin, nestled in the heart of nature, it felt as if time had slowed down. The peaceful surroundings offered a stark contrast to our busy home life. We spent our days hiking, cooking together, and simply enjoying each other's company without distractions. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the trees, we sat by the fire, sipping wine and sharing stories. I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. "I can't believe how far we've come," I said, gazing into the flames. Laura smiled, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "It's been a journey filled with ups and downs, but I wouldn't change a thing. We've built something beautiful together." That night, we talked late into the evening, rekindling the spark that had initially brought us together. We shared our hopes and dreams for the future, not just as individuals, but as a couple and a family. It was a reminder of the importance of prioritizing our relationship amidst the demands of parenting. Returning home felt different. With our hearts rejuvenated, we faced the everyday challenges of parenting with renewed energy and perspective. I made it a point to carve out more moments for just the two of us, even if they were small, a quiet dinner after the kids were asleep or a walk around the neighborhood. These moments reminded us of the importance of nurturing our relationship. As we moved further into the year, I started to think about how we could instill the values we cherished in our children. I wanted to create a legacy of love, kindness, and resilience that would carry on through them. I suggested we start a family tradition of volunteering together. Laura loved the idea, and we began researching local organizations that would allow us to serve as a family. After some exploration, we settled on a local food bank where we could help sort and distribute food to those in need. Our first volunteer day was a revelation. As we sorted canned goods and packaged meals, I watched our children absorb the experience. Their young minds processing the importance of giving back. They asked questions, their curiosity shining through, and I felt a deep sense of pride. Afterward, as we drove home, our son spoke up from the backseat. "Can we do that again, Mom? It was fun helping people." Laura and I exchanged a knowing glance, our hearts swelling with joy. "Of course we can," she replied. "This is just the beginning." In the months that followed, our family continued to engage in various volunteer activities, each time deepening our bond and instilling values of empathy and compassion in our children. We created a legacy of kindness, reminding ourselves and our kids that making a difference in the world, no matter how small, was an integral part of our family's mission. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, I looked at my children, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the overhead light. "What's something kind you did this week?" I asked, wanting to encourage them to share their experiences. Our daughter, with her wide eyes and infectious enthusiasm, spoke first. "I shared my crayons with a friend at school. It made her happy." "That's wonderful." I praised her, feeling a warmth spread through me. Our son chimed in next. "I helped Mom clean up the living room." Laura beamed, clearly proud of her little helpers. "I was so impressed with how you two worked together." As I listened to their stories, I realized how important it was to celebrate these moments. They weren't just small acts of kindness. They were building blocks for the legacy we aimed to create. With each passing day, I felt a sense of fulfillment in our family life. The challenges of parenting were still present, but the love and connection we cultivated served as a strong foundation. I saw how our experiences, both good and bad, were shaping our children into thoughtful, empathetic individuals. One afternoon, as I was playing with the kids in the backyard, I noticed the way they interacted with each other. They showed kindness and patience, navigating conflicts with surprising maturity. In those moments, I felt a sense of accomplishment. We were teaching them the values we held dear, and it was paying off. As the seasons changed once again, I found myself reflecting on our family's journey, how we had grown, learned, and adapted together. The love that had blossomed between Laura and me had not only transformed our relationship but had become the heartbeat of our family. As we approached the end of the year, I knew we had created something special, a legacy built on love, resilience, and kindness. I felt hopeful about the future, eager to see how our family would continue to evolve. Together, we would face whatever came our way, ready to embrace the adventure of life as a united front. That holiday season, as we gathered around the Christmas tree, surrounded by decorations, laughter, and the spirit of giving, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the family we had built. I reached for Laura's hand, squeezing it gently. "Thank you for being my partner in this journey," I said, my voice filled with emotion. She looked at me, her eyes shining with love. "And thank you for being mine. Here's to many more adventures together." With that promise in our hearts, I knew that we were ready to face whatever the future held, hand in hand, as a family. Together, we would continue to write our story, one filled with love, laughter, and a legacy that would inspire generations to come. As the new year dawned, it brought with it a sense of excitement and fresh possibilities. The winter holidays had left us with cherished memories, and our children's laughter filled the air as they played together, completely unaware of the challenges that lay ahead. However, life has a way of presenting unexpected trials. In January, I received a phone call that would change everything. My business partner, Mark, informed me that due to unforeseen circumstances, we would need to downsize our operations. I could feel the weight of the news settle in my stomach. "What do you mean, downsize?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "How many positions are we talking about?" "Probably around 30% of the staff," Mark replied, his tone grim. "We've been facing losses for the past few quarters, and this is the only way to keep the company afloat." The weight of the news hit me hard. I knew that layoffs would not only affect our employees but also disrupt the delicate balance of my family's life. How could I focus on nurturing my family when the stability of my career was at stake? As I hung up the phone, I felt a knot tightening in my chest. I had built this company from the ground up, and now it was crumbling before my eyes. My mind raced with worries about the future. How would I provide for my family if we had to let people go? That evening, I shared the news with Laura, my heart heavy with anxiety. We sat on the couch together, the warmth of the room contrasting with the chill of uncertainty that enveloped me. I don't know what this means for us, I admitted, my voice breaking. I've worked so hard to create a stable life for our family, and now it feels like it's all slipping away. Laura reached for my hand, her grip firm and reassuring. We'll get through this together, Ron. We've faced challenges before, and we can face this one too. Her words were a balm to my frayed nerves, but the reality of the situation loomed large in my mind. I knew I had to act quickly. I spent the following days analyzing the company's finances, meeting with Mark, and strategizing on how we could minimize the impact of the layoffs. After countless late nights of work, we finally settled on a plan. We would implement a voluntary severance package to allow those who wished to leave to do so with dignity. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it would lessen the blow for those affected. When the time came to announce the decision, I stood before my team, my heart pounding in my chest. I want to be honest with all of you, I began, my voice steady. We're facing challenges, and to keep our company afloat, we have to make some difficult decisions. As I looked out at the sea of faces, I could see the concern etched into their expressions. We're offering a voluntary severance package to those who feel that this may be a better option for them. The silence in the room was palpable. I felt the weight of every word I spoke, knowing the impact it would have on their lives. In the following weeks, the atmosphere in the office changed. The tension was thick, and as I moved through the halls, I could sense the uncertainty hanging in the air. Many of my employees opted for the severance package, and it felt as though a part of my family was disbanding. Through it all, I leaned on Laura for support. She encouraged me to focus on the positives, the employees who chose to stay, the loyal clients who believed in our mission, and the opportunity to rebuild. Think about what you can do to inspire your team, she suggested one evening. They need to see that you're committed to making things better. Not just for the company, but for them as well. Her words resonated with me. I realized that I needed to foster an environment of trust and support, to show my team that we were all in this together. In the following weeks, I organized team meetings, open forums where employees could voice their concerns and share their ideas for moving forward. We discussed our goals, the future of the company, and the steps we needed to take to overcome the challenges we faced. I also prioritized employee well-being, implementing mental health resources and support systems to help everyone navigate the stress of the situation. The response was overwhelming. People began to open up, sharing their fears and aspirations. As the months rolled on, the atmosphere in the office began to shift. There was a renewed sense of camaraderie, and I could see the spark of hope igniting among my team members. Through hard work and dedication, we began to stabilize the company. We explored new markets, adjusted our strategies, and focused on what made us unique. It was a process, but I felt a renewed sense of purpose, and I knew we were headed in the right direction. At home, the weight of the office still lingered, but the support from Laura and our children kept me grounded. We spent weekends exploring parks and having family game nights, reminding me of what was truly important. One evening, as I tucked our son into bed, he looked up at me with wide, innocent eyes. "Daddy, are you happy?" His question caught me off guard. "Of course, buddy. Why do you ask?" "Because you work a lot. I want you to be happy," he said simply, a small smile on his face. I smiled back, feeling a wave of emotion wash over me. "I am happy, sweetheart. I'm happy because I have you and Mommy. You make me happy every day." As I closed the door to his room, I realized that my children were my anchor through all the chaos. Their laughter and love reminded me of the strength that lay within our family. In the months that followed, our family became a source of resilience for me. The challenges I faced in the office pushed me to appreciate the moments we shared at home even more. We learned to navigate uncertainty together, embracing the ups and downs as part of life's journey. As spring approached, I felt a sense of renewal, not just within the company, but within myself. I had learned to trust in my abilities, to rely on my team, and to lean on Laura as my partner in both work and life. Looking back, I realized that the challenges I had faced had transformed me. I had come to understand that resilience isn't just about enduring difficulties, it's about growing through them, finding strength in vulnerability, and supporting each other along the way. With Laura by my side, I felt ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, we would continue to build our legacy, a legacy defined not only by our successes but also by the love and support we offered each other during life's inevitable storms. As the months rolled into summer, a new chapter began to unfold for both my family and my business. The efforts we put into rebuilding were paying off. We were not only stabilizing but thriving. New clients were coming in, and our team had adapted to the changes with remarkable resilience. I could see the confidence returning to my employees' faces, and it felt as if the dark cloud that had hung over us had finally lifted. One sunny afternoon, while I was going over reports in the office, I received a surprise visit from Laura. She walked in with a bright smile, holding a beautifully wrapped box. "What's this?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. "Just a little something to celebrate our hard work and progress," she replied, her eyes sparkling. I opened the box to find a framed photo of our family at the cabin from our getaway. The warmth and love captured in that moment brought a wave of nostalgia over me. "This is perfect," I said, placing it on my desk. "Thank you for reminding me what we're working toward." "You're welcome," she said. "But remember, we need to continue to celebrate the small victories too. We've come so far together." Her words resonated deeply. I realized that amidst the chaos of the past months, I had forgotten to appreciate the little moments of joy. Inspired by Laura's sentiment, I decided to plan a company-wide celebration to acknowledge our team's hard work and dedication. I organized a summer barbecue at a local park, inviting everyone to bring their families. I wanted to create a relaxed environment where we could all come together, not just as colleagues but as a community. The day arrived, filled with laughter, games, and the aroma of grilled food. As I watched my team interact with their families, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for each person who had stuck by us through the storm. During the celebration, I took a moment to address everyone. Standing in front of my colleagues and their families, I felt a wave of pride. I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you. Your hard work and dedication have made this journey possible. We've faced challenges, but together we've come out stronger. Let's continue to support each other and strive for greatness. The applause that followed filled me with warmth, and I could see the smiles on my employees' faces. It was a reminder that we were not just a company, we were a family. That night, as we returned home, I felt a sense of fulfillment wash over me. I glanced at Laura, who was smiling as she recounted the day's highlights. "I'm so proud of you," she said, squeezing my hand. "You've built a strong team. And it shows." In the following weeks, I made it a priority to nurture our company culture. I introduced regular team-building activities and check-ins, encouraging open communication and fostering a sense of belonging. We developed initiatives that allowed employees to voice their ideas and contribute to the company's vision. As I worked on the business, I remained committed to my family life. I took time each week to have date nights with Laura, making sure we carved out moments just for ourselves amidst the busyness of life. Those evenings became our sacred time, allowing us to reconnect and share our dreams for the future. One night, as we sat across from each other at our favorite restaurant, I noticed the glow in Laura's eyes. "What's on your mind?" I asked, intrigued. "I've been thinking," she began, hesitating for a moment. "We've both grown so much in the past couple of years, and I wonder if we should set some new goals together." I smiled, feeling the excitement build. "Absolutely. What do you have in mind?" "I'd love for us to travel more as a family," she said. "There are so many places I want to show the kids, experiences I want them to have." Her enthusiasm was contagious. "That sounds incredible. Let's start planning some trips," I replied, my mind racing with possibilities. We spent the next few weeks researching destinations, creating a bucket list that included everything from hiking in national parks to visiting historic landmarks. The anticipation of these adventures filled our home with energy and excitement. As summer transitioned into fall, we embarked on our first family trip, a week-long adventure to the mountains. It was a chance to disconnect from our routines, immerse ourselves in nature, and bond as a family. Each day brought new discoveries, hiking trails that led us to breathtaking vistas, campfires under the stars, and laughter echoing through the trees. I could see the joy in our children's eyes as they explored the great outdoors, their spirits soaring with every new experience. One evening, as we sat around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. "Look at us," I said, glancing at Laura and the kids. "This is what it's all about, making memories together." Laura nodded, her smile radiant in the flickering light. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" "Yes, we have," I replied, warmth spreading through me. "And I wouldn't trade it for anything." As the trip drew to a close, I realized that our journey had transformed not only our relationship but also the way we approached life. We had learned to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, to prioritize connection and communication, and to celebrate the beauty of everyday moments. Back home, the fall season arrived with its vibrant colors, and I felt an overwhelming sense of hope for the future. I continued to focus on the business, applying the lessons I had learned during our difficult times. We were entering a new phase of growth, and I felt more equipped than ever to navigate the challenges that lay ahead. As the holiday season approached, our family began to establish traditions that reflected the love and resilience we had cultivated. We volunteered together, continuing our commitment to giving back, and we created a family gratitude jar, where we could jot down moments of joy and appreciation throughout the year. Looking ahead, I was filled with anticipation. I knew that while life would continue to present challenges, we were ready to face them together. We had built a foundation of trust, love, and understanding, and that would guide us through whatever the future held. With Laura by my side and our children growing into remarkable individuals, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. We were not just surviving, we were thriving, creating a legacy of love and resilience that would last for generations. As we prepared to welcome a new year, I looked forward to embracing the adventures that awaited us, together, as a family, hand in hand, ready to face the world.